Matt from GrandstandBettors.com, and today I have a preview and prediction for tonight's Thursday night football game between the Miami Dolphins and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So sit back, relax, and let us give you the tips for tonight's Thursday action. All right, so it's the Miami Dolphins versus the Jacksonville Jaguars tonight on Thursday Night Football. On paper, that's not a great game, but it is a standalone game, and there should be a lot of action, and there's going to be a lot of action in the sports betting world. This line opened up at 1.5 to the Jags. Now, the line moved quite a bit right off the bat and went to -2. It's holding steady at -2 towards the Jags, but I assume and predict that by game time it will get pushed up to that magic number of +3. So look for that movement depending on what side you think or what prediction we give you later in the episode here. That's what you're going to want to take. On the over, maybe we're going that direction for the game. It started at over 45 and very quickly went 3 points up to over 48.5. So we're going to kind of look at that as well. But before we move into our prediction, to learn from last week, we have to kind of dive into what happened in both of the Dolphins and Jaguars games from last week. Now, the Dolphins played the Bills in kind of an unusual game. They actually, after halftime, the power went out down there in Miami, I think due to a storm. And there was a very long delay, I think of a couple hours, before they resumed the game. Now, this kind of made what you saw on the field a little different. You can't take too much from the second half of that game because everybody had stopped playing. They probably weren't warmed up again. Defenses were probably lackadaisical, so we're only going to kind of look at that first half, but you can look at the stats on a whole if you'd like. And in that game, Fitzpatrick had a wonderful game. He threw for 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, and had a really, really good game. So on the flip side, the Jags did not win against the Titans due to a last-second field goal by Gostkowski of the Tennessee Titans. I think it was a 49-yard field goal as time expired. Minshew looked pretty good in the game as well. 339 with 3 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So he did have those 2 miscues. He also had a fumble, but it was not lost. They did recover it back. So both teams lost 31-28. The Dolphins lost 33-30. The Jags lost to the Titans. They weren't great games, but something to build on. The Miami Dolphins are 0-2, and the Jags are 1-1 right now. So one of these teams is going to be springboarded maybe into a little better of a season between the two of them. So let's look at one of the main things that we go through for a Thursday night game. It's a short week. So what does that mean? Let's keep an eye out on the injuries. The injuries for this week, and we won't really know if they're in or out. Some of them until the inactives come out later today, but one of them is DJ Chark of the Jags. He does have a slight injury. He's questionable, but he is slated to start. If he doesn't start, I'll get into it in just a minute when it comes to our prediction if that affects it, but keep an eye out on him for the inactive list that comes out in a couple hours or so. Now, on the other side is Byron Jones. He's a cornerback for the Miami Dolphins, and he is out. He's been ruled out. He's not going to play. He leaves a huge gap in the middle of that secondary for the Dolphins. So Minshew should be able to take advantage of that. So keep that in the back of your mind as we move forward here. And the last injury is back with the Jags, and that is their kicker, Josh Lambo. Who knew kickers could get hurt? But the place kicker, Josh Lambo, will be replaced by a rookie. This could also come into play later in the game. Think about it. You have a rookie kicker who hasn't kicked much or even had probably a professional career kick that was good before, and if he misses a couple, the coach may feel like they're not going to go to him anymore. They might start going for it on 4th and short, and that might lead to maybe some more points, maybe some more touchdowns, something like that. I think we're kind of foreshadowing where we're going with our play. But before we get into our prediction, let's talk about a couple players to watch in this matchup. On the Miami Dolphins side, Mike Gesicki. This guy had 11 targets last week. He had 8 catches, 130 yards, and a touchdown. And on the flip side, the Jacksonville Jaguars gave up 2 touchdowns to their tight end. I mean, this guy is primed to have another great game. Fitzpatrick loves to target him. Look for him to be big in the game. I'm going to say he's going to at least score 1, maybe 2 touchdowns. On the flip side, who should we be watching on the Jaguars side? I'd say Gardner Minshew we should be watching, and any one of his receivers. Even if DJ Shark does not start this game, he goes to everyone on the sideline. It doesn't matter who's on the field, he throws to everyone. He went to 10 different wide receivers against the Tennessee Titans last week. So whether Shark's in there or not, I want to target Minshew and all of his wide receivers, especially if I'm playing daily fantasy tonight. So look for Mike Gesicki, Minshew, and his receivers to all have great nights. Now, you know what time it is? It's time for our prediction. Who do we think is going to win? Or do we think it's going to go over? We're going to tell you right now, but before I do, go in those comments. Tell us who you think's going to win. I want to know, because when I'm wrong, I want to know that I should have listened to you. So go write in the comments who you think's going to win, and then we'll get back to you, and we hope that we all become winners tonight. But our prediction, it's too close on the line. If it gets up to +3, I got to tell you, I really like +3 for the Miami Dolphins. Here's my problem. I don't trust Fitz magic. That guy, he's like up and down. Sometimes he has 4 interceptions. Last week he had 330 and 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. You don't know about this guy. Also, I don't like the fact that Byron Jones is out in the secondary. I think Minshew is going to tear that secondary apart, and I think he is going to score a lot of points. Here's my problem with Minshew. I don't trust that guy either. I don't trust any of these quarterbacks. They are not consistent. They're not your Russell Wilsons. They're not your Dak Prescotts. They're not your Matt Ryans. They're not going to get you yardage and touchdowns over and over with low interception rates, and I don't like that. But you know what I do like? I like the fact that Miami's secondary is hurt and Minshew throws to 10 different receivers, and I also like that both of these offenses have an enormously great rushing defense. Neither of these defenses have allowed a starting rusher to have 100 rushing yards in any game this season. Now, I know what you're thinking. The Miami Dolphins, they allowed the New England Patriots to have 200-plus rushing yards in Week 1. But you know who was the leading rusher of that week? It was Cam Newton. He was the quarterback. Cam Newton was rushing all over the place. That happens because when you're in a pass defense, it allows holes to be made. But from a standpoint of straight rushing defense, they're not going to allow anything. Jacksonville held Henry to like 69 yards last week. This is not going to be a rushing game. If it is, they're even going to score more points. Do you see where the foreshadowing is going with this? No rushing, and if there is, more points. And the defense secondaries are wide open. I expect 75 passes in this game. Now, I know the line moved from 45 to 48.5, but I still think the over hits here. Take over 48.5, okay? Lock it in at that price. Do it. Even if it goes up to 49.5, I like it. Let's think about it. This could be a 7-touchdown, 8-touchdown game and an easy over to cover. So to review, we're going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars, Miami Dolphins, Thursday Night Football on Thursday, September 24th, over 48.5. Enjoy the game. Whatever you do, make sure you're sitting on your couch, relaxing, letting us do the work while you do the winning.